Hey guys, hope you're doing well today. There's so much going on in our world right now, and I think it is important for us to address what's happening and really hit it head on from a biblical standpoint. So I acknowledge the fact that as young people, sometimes it can be difficult to figure out exactly what it is you believe and what it is that you should believe and what you shouldn't believe. And so today I just want to take us through three pretty basic questions that have to do with what is going on right now in our world pertaining to the rioting, the recent deaths, and everything else that is happening. And the questions are this: is there a problem? That's the first one. Is there a problem? What does the Bible say about it? And then what can I do about it? Okay, so it's three basic questions. One, is there a problem? We start right there at the foundation, at the basics. Is there a problem? What does the Bible say about it? And then what can I do about it? And so the first thing we want to address is there a problem? And simply put, yes, there is a problem. It's important, I think, for us to establish, first off, that there is a problem, because there are so many times in our lives that we have this tendency to overlook things and ignore things if they are not our problem. And so we need to acknowledge the fact that yes, there is a problem and it is pertinent to us, it is important to us, and just admitting it and acknowledging it, that there is indeed a problem. That's the foundation level to beginning our efforts toward change, to working towards a solution and making and creating unity together. I remember being injured in college, and my ankle was really pretty messed up, and I'm a stubborn guy, and so I really did not want to go to the doctor. And so for a long time I ignored that there was an issue with my ankle, that there was a problem with my body, and my body got worse and it got worse and the problem persisted. And it wasn't until I went and finally acknowledged that there was a problem with my body that I was able to move into a place of healing, that I was able to move into a place of instituting change with myself. And so it's the same thing that's going on right here. Until we're able to move into a place within ourselves of acknowledging, admitting that there is a problem, we're never going to move to the spot of healing. And so that's where I just want to start with that basic question: is there a problem? Yes, there is a problem. And so now we move on down and we look at, what does the Bible say about it? What does the Bible say about it? I don't care what a lot of people have to say as far as some opinions go and some other things. The first place I always want to look and I always want to check is, what does the Bible say about this specific issue? And so I want to read to you. That's how I want to do this. Instead of giving you a bunch of beliefs of mine, I want to give you God's beliefs, and I want to give you exactly what He has to say. So I'm going to go through 6 different verses, and I could name 100 more that would fit just perfectly with what we're talking about, but I'm just going to name 6. There's going to be 3 from the Old Testament and 3 from the New, and I want you to not just ingest these verses, I want you to work at digesting these verses. As you hear the words, I want you to ingest them, and then I want you to digest them from your mind into your heart and move them to a place of understanding. So the first one is this. It says, it's Genesis 1:26. It says, I have created man in my own image. It does not say I've created white man in my own image. It does not say I've created black man in my own image. It says I have created man in my own image. Deuteronomy 10:17 says, for the Lord your God is God of gods. He is Lord of lords, the great God, mighty and awesome, who shows no partiality and accepts no bribes. Malachi 2:10 says, do we not all have one faith? Do we not all have one Father? Did not one God create us? Why do we profane the covenant of our ancestors by being unfaithful to one another? John 13:34, a new command I give you, love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another. Ephesians 2:14, for he himself is our peace, who has made the two groups one, and who has destroyed the barrier, the dividing wall of hostility. He says, I've made the two groups one. And if you're a Bible scholar here, you're going to know that he's not talking about black and white. He's talking about uncircumcised and circumcised. He's talking about Jew and Gentile. But here, there's a divide, and there's division among the people. And so I think it's acceptable in the Bible to take where there is division between two groups, and no matter what the division is or who the two groups are, if there's division somewhere else, we can substitute the other two groups in there, and that is perfectly biblically sound. There was division between two groups, and God has destroyed the barrier. He has destroyed the dividing wall of hostility. And that is what God wants to do here. Revelation 7:9 says, after this I looked, and there before me was a great multitude that no one could count, from every nation, every tribe, every people, and every language, standing before the throne and before the Lamb. They were holding palm branches in their hands. I love that. No one could count it. Every nation, every tribe, every people, every language, standing before the throne and before the Lamb. So guys, I hope you're starting to get the idea here as I'm reading these verses. That was 6 verses, 3 from the old, 3 from the new. I hope you're starting to get the idea here that the Bible is not divided on its stance. As far as the issues that are plaguing and coming against us right now, the Bible is not divided. I heard a quote the other day. It comes from Kyle Idleman, who is the lead pastor at Southeast Christian Church in Louisville. I loved what he had to say. He said, what makes a tragedy truly tragic is when the tragedy does not change the trajectory of our lives. Now, I don't know if you'd want to take that as a tongue twister or anything, but it has a lot of truth to it. What makes a tragedy truly tragic is when the tragedy does not change the trajectory of our lives. And so with that being said, we move on to the third question here, which is, what can I do about it? We've already answered that, yes, there is a problem. We've answered, what does the Bible say about it? And now, what can I do about it? Because Kyle says if a tragedy doesn't move and change the trajectory of your life, there's something wrong with that. And so we have to do something with this. What can we do about the issues at hand? First thing I want to tell you is don't be sucked into passivity, okay? Don't be sucked into passivity. The issue here that we have is there are too many people that are saying things like, this isn't my problem. People always want to dismiss something. If it's not their problem, then it doesn't matter, and we tend to ignore those things. They want to say, this isn't my problem. And just because you may not deal here with the immediate consequences that are happening, just because maybe you are white and you're not dealing with the consequences sometimes of being black, being profiled, being watched very closely, having to teach your children to how to handle and deal with the police, just because you're not experiencing the consequences of the racism does not mean that you're not going to experience the consequences and the eternal consequences of allowing injustice to stand while you could have done something about it. Okay, there will be, as Christians, when we sit back and we don't do anything about the problems that are facing us and facing our nation and our friends and our family, our brothers and sisters in Christ, when we sit back and we're passive, there will be eternal consequences for those actions. And so as a follower of Christ, I want you to realize that this is your problem. So don't be sucked into that mindset of passivity. The second thing I want you to hear is return love for hate, okay? Return love for hate. And we're living in this world right now where the majority of people seem to be in this hate contest, all right? There's a contest going on right now where we continue to return hate for hate. It's a contest of who can hate the most, who can cause the most damage, who can cause the most hurt, who can say the most hurtful words and the meanest words and the most hateful words. And I'm calling you as a Christian, the call as a Christian in the face of hate, whether it's directed at you, it's directed at somewhere else or some other direction, is to return that with love. Whatever hate that comes your way, return it with love. And the final thing here that I just want you to hear is don't forget the significance of the gospel. Don't forget the significance of the gospel. It really is my belief here that significant change will never take place in our nation. It will never take place in our world until we are able to get a hold of the power of the gospel, until we are able to get a hold of the power and the gospel of Jesus Christ. No significant change is ever going to come to us. And the reason for that is that the gospel is the only thing that has the power to change the hearts of people. And I was talking about this with my sister's husband the other day. His name's Caleb as well. And just really got me fired up and truly believe this in my heart, that no significant change can come until we get a hold of the power of the gospel. It is the only thing that has the power to change this. And so what you have to understand, that being said, is that racism is nothing more than a symptom of a deeper spiritual problem, okay? Racism is nothing more than a symptom here of a deeper spiritual problem within us, and trying to do anything, trying to treat that symptom instead of ministering to the heart of human brokenness will not last. It will not endure. It will not be successful. We have to minister to the root of the human brokenness and the human condition, which is sin, not to the symptoms that show of that root. It's only the power of Jesus that has the ability to save. And so through that salvation comes restoration and healing and change and unity and all of the qualities and the characteristics and the traits that God brings in that. And so, guys, what I'm calling you to do right now is just don't forget the power and the significance of the gospel. Don't attempt to solve a spiritual problem here with a worldly solution. There is a spiritual problem going on in our nation, a spiritual need in our nation, and we can't use that and we can't fix that and slap on a world Band-Aid. Okay, remember that you do truly hold the key to the only thing that can transform the heart, and that is the gospel, the power of Jesus Christ. Guys, I love you. Just wanted to give you a couple thoughts, just a few of those things that I've been thinking about here in the last couple days that have forced me to take a step back and really assess what's going on. What do I believe? And what am I going to do about it? So I hope that is helpful to you, and I hope that helps you just understand where I'm coming from as well. Love you guys. See ya.